In this section, I'd like to talk about one of the real nice time-saving functions of Bridge, and that is the batch rename function. If you're in the start of a color correction project and you've got a whole bunch of images that you've brought in, say, from your digital camera, and you're not exactly sure which one you want to work on, it can be extremely time-consuming just renaming your files and sorting through them and just deciding which files you want to work on. So here's a folder that has a bunch of standard named right off the digital camera picture labels, which mean nothing to anybody, of course. And Bridge makes this real easy to take care of. One of the really nice functions about Bridge is if you don't select anything in a Bridge folder, then Bridge will apply whatever you're about to do, in this case a batch rename, to the entire folder. So if you've got like 300 images that you've pulled off your digital camera flash card, instead of having to make sure that you select everything, you can just dump them all in a folder and then come up here to the top of the Bridge menu to the tools and choose batch rename. And after you've done this a half a dozen times, you'll learn this keyboard shortcut, Command-Shift-R, and that's an easy one to remember, or Control-Shift-R on Windows. 4 R's for rename, of course, inside of Bridge. And then this dialog box comes up as you see here. You have the choice of renaming these in the same folder, moving to another folder, or copying to another folder. Now, if the images are right off the digital camera, well, you may just want to rename them right where they are. If for some reason you need to retain the sequence of those images with their original names because of a time sequence or whatever, you want to see the order in which you took them, then you may just want to copy it and put it in another folder and keep the original ones. It's all up to you. The point is, you have the ability to choose between those. I'm just going to rename them in the same folder here, and then you can designate as many field names as you want. And you can choose from text, extension names, current file names, preserved file names, sequence numbers and letters, metadata, time, date, you name it. Or even a folder name if you wanted to. So we'll call this Red Rocks, and then we'll go underneath text, and you can put a separation character here if you wanted to, like we have done here. And then you can put a sequence number, and you can choose, well, I want a sequence number, and I'm going to want 3 digits, or maybe you just want 2 digits. It's completely up to you. Just completely up to you. So, and then you might just start with 01. And notice that down here, it'll give you a preview of what that's going to look like, which is really handy and very nice. And notice it also tells you 47 files will be renamed. It selected every one of the images in this folder because I selected none of them. Then you click on Windows and Unix. And if you wanted to preserve the current file name, for instance, say you already renamed these once and then you were renaming them for another project or another sort or who knows what, then you can preserve the current file name inside of the metadata. So if you wanted to retain the sequence in which these images were caught but still rename them in the current window, you can just turn that on. And you don't have to make a copy of them, and you can still retain the current file name if you'd like to. And then if you want to add or subtract data fields here, you can just click there to add and click here to subtract any data fields that you have in your image. And then when you're done configuring this dialog box, you just click rename. And then automatically every one of those files is renamed in the folder. It just takes a second for it to accomplish that. So that's a real handy one if no other reason you'd want to use Bridge to do that, but there's plenty of other reasons as well.